All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kakadash. Say double honor to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone for teaching his word in truth and sincerity, for ruling well. And salutations to my fellow Akim across the four corners of the globe, preaching and prophesying in the name of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And this is the brother Gabar Yahweh from GMS Hawaii coming to you with another lesson. And it's going to be on NATO's new membership regarding Finland and Sweden. Okay, and what you're starting to see right now is these different nations, they're positioning themselves for the big war, World War III. They're positioning themselves for World War III, okay, and they're getting ready to establish different, or they already established different concords with one another to defend each other. Let me see what the whole reason for NATO is. Salakia. Again, NATO's allowing these different European nations to join with one another so they can defend against Russia. Okay, so I typed up, what is NATO's purpose? All right, what is NATO's purpose? And it says a political and military alliance. NATO's purpose is to guarantee the freedom and security of its members through political and military means. All right, and these different nations, they're coming together, allied one to another, so they can basically fight an enemy. Okay, there's nothing more than European nations and their military might coming together and their finances to destroy one another. And you see the vast majority of the people on this thing, if not all of these people on this board, these are Edomites, man. This has nothing to do with the Israelites, man. We're not represented on these boards, We're not represented amongst these people, all right? And then this is going to end up biting the whore, which is America, on her ass, man. Because the scripture says this in Obadiah. Chapter 1. Obadiah 1 and and 7. I'll start at verse 6. How are the things that Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him, right? Because the U.S. is the big whore, and all these different nations, they're coming together with the U.S. to eat their bread, meaning their finances, their philosophies, all of their agendas, But they laid the wound under thee because, as the scripture says, the 10 horns, they're gonna hate the whore, man. So you see all these different NATO countries coming together. Something's gonna happen where they're gonna break this thing up, man. Okay, because they're coming together to fight the big bad wolf in the forest, which is Russia, or the big bad bear. All right. So what is the significance of Sweden and Finland joining NATO? Well, I looked that up too, and it says the Finland and Sweden will provide additional security and stability in Europe. It says Wallander said the two Baltic nations already have close bilateral relationships with the United States. She said the two nations also have close working relationships with and military interoperability with NATO's allies. It was another a breakdown too, Salakia. About this, I wanted to check something out, but the fact that Sweden and Finland joining NATO is more than just alliances and agreements. They're strategically positioned in Europe to defend against Russia, man. All right, this is Russia, right? It's a map right here, a short map, and it says Russia right here. And you got Finland, which they share an 800-mile border with Russia. So there's nothing for the NATO to put missiles or anti-defense systems on the borders of Finland, right? To attack Russia. Then you also got Sweden too, which has access to the Baltic Sea. So their Navy can go in. So it says the addition of the countries could offer the alliance to expand alliance expanded land, sea, and air capabilities. Sweden has a strong navy, which would strengthen NATO's defense in the Baltic Seas, and builds its own fighter jets, which it exports to countries around the globe. Finland, well-funded military, maintains mandatory conscription for men. It's a whole society approach to thinking about defense, said Christopher Skaluba, director of the Atlantic Council Transatlantic Security Initiative. They can mobilize hundreds and thousands of their citizens. The countries also offer key geographic advantages which would enhance NATO's defense. And that's what you see going on. These different nations, they're preparing for war. But just like NATO is preparing, you have Russia with its allies as well. You know, China, South Africa, India, Brazil. So they're preparing. War is being prepared right in front of us. There's a scripture that says you shall have wars and rumors of wars. This is St. Matthew. This is St. Matthew, right? 24:6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And that's what you seeing that happen. You know, there's wars and rumors of wars. These different nations are strategically positioning themselves to go to war with one another. Okay? And you got other countries, it says, that are on a border with Russia, man. It says Finland's border with Russia stretches more than 800 miles and is already closely patrolled. The nation's membership would double the alliance land border. On one hand, this provides NATO with enhanced deterrence, as Moscow would need to defend this border, said Karasia, the associate fellow of the Transatlantic Security Program. On the other hand, NATO also must protect this border against Russian attack, right? And you see it, all right? So here's another example of Russia's alliance. And this is in the scriptures as well. This is Russia's relationship with Iran. Iran, which is Persia, and Russia are strategic allies and form an axis in the Caucasus alongside Armenia. Iran and Russia are also military allies in the conflicts of Syria and Iraq, and partners in Afghanistan and in the post-Soviet Central Asia. And this is in the scriptures. This is Ezekiel chapter 38, verse, I'll read from the top. Ezekiel 38:1. And the word of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And that land of Gog, all right, is Russia. And Magog, that's Russia. So the Lord said, prophesy against them. Because, see, these devils, they think that they're going to go to war with one another. And ultimately, the Edomites are going to come out on top again via the super elite that's in the background orchestrating both sides of this. When in reality, it's Yahweh Shem Yahushai that's orchestrating all of this for his will to be done. But these Edomites, they believe in their hearts that this is their decision, and it's not. Okay, so let's keep on reading real quick. Ezekiel 38:2. Son of man, set thy face against Gog in the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws. And them hooks is that strength. The Lord put the strength back into the Russians' military, Russia's economics, all of that stuff that was taken away after the fall of the so-called Iron Curtain. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses, horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, which is Iran, which we just read about that right here. Russia's relationship with Iran. Let me go back. Oh yeah. Okay. Ethiopia. Now check this out. Russia's relationship with Ethiopia. And this is Libya. Slovakia. had it. I had it. Salakia. So Russia's relationship with Ethiopia. Third, Russia and Ethiopia are closely linked militarily, dating back to the USSR's support of Ethiopia's Derg regime in the 1970s and 80s. A military cooperation agreement between the two countries signed in 2018 underscored the persistence of this relationship. And you see it right here. Why you think the Lord called these different nations out right along with Gog and Magog? So you got, it says, and now all of them handling swords, verse 5, Persia, Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. So it says Libya. Now check this out. Russia's relationship with Libya. Russia has an embassy in Tripoli, with Libya having an embassy in Moscow. Diplomatic contact between Russia and Libya has generally been close and productive, seeing as both countries have had and continue to see volatile relations with the United States. So these are just like NATO is coming together with these additional memberships. Hey, Russia got its allies too. Russia has its allies too. And really, this is the Lord bringing these different nations together for battle. At verse 6, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah, okay, the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people. Let me see something. Togarmah. So Togarmah on a map. So Togarmah, Gog and Magog, and this would be what is Togarmah. Let me see if that's. I thought it would be Turkey, Meshach, Tubal, but Togarmah today. But these are all European and Indo-European countries right now. Modern day Togarmah. Let me see. Modern day Togarmah. They don't got much on it, but nonetheless, what you're seeing right now is that the Lord is bringing these nations together to do battle. This is Joel chapter 3 verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. The Jehoshaphat is really Jehoshaphat, which is Yahweh's judgment, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, for whom they have scattered among the nations and part of my land. So the Lord is bringing these different nations together via their alliances and agreements and military might to battle together, to go to war with one another. This is another example. NATO admits it's been preparing for conflict with Russia since 2014. So all of this stuff is not by happenstance, man. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg told reporters on Wednesday that increase in military spending and rising numbers of troops deployments to Eastern Europe since 2014 were carried out in anticipation of a conflict with Russia, Gog and Magog. You see? So all of this is not by accident. It's definitely not for nothing. Esau don't do shit just to do shit. You know, they're preparing for war. And which war are they preparing for? World War III, the Great War. The Great War. Okay? They're preparing to go to war with one another, and then the Lord's going to destroy them with it. The scripture says, a kingdom divided, it cannot stand, man. And even though they're all on the same side, the super elites, Russia, NATO, and their allies, they're on their side, but they're going to use these people to destroy themselves, because wars don't just start overnight. They're carefully plotted prepared and schemed, man. And then it's these people that's sitting in their suits. These people, they don't gonna have to go to war. They're not gonna have to fight on the front lines. You got this dude Zelensky running around here acting like he's a super head of the Ukrainian army, walking around in a t-shirt like he's doing battle. But none of these people are war ready, war capable, but their nations are. And the Lord's putting it in their hearts, their minds, to do battle with one another, man. The great battle is coming. And so with that, I'm saying shalom and on to the next.